Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm Dedra Stafford, and I'm here to talk to you today about time-saving tools with AI. So I have a couple people live, and I know there will be lots of people watching this recording as the summer goes on. But I do encourage you, if you're live here, let's have a conversation. Let's um, unmute, ask me questions when I talk about something that doesn't make sense to you, or add your own feedback because, I AI is changing so fast. There are things you may know or you may be concerned about that I have not put in this presentation. So it'll only make it better. I do know we have a couple of people live, and I would love for you to jump into the chat room and tell me just kind of your experience with AI. Like, are you like, I haven't used it, but I'm sick of hearing people talk about it and I want to know what it's about? Tell me that. If you are, I play with AI and I know just about this much, but I'm here to. And if you are an expert, but you just want to know more, then I highly encourage you to jump in and tell me that because that tells me how deep I can go or how fast I can fly when I'm trying to figure out where we're at or if we're still on training wheels. So if you're here, unmute and tell me a little bit about who you are and why you're here and what you know about AI, or jump into the chat. I am flexible on that piece.
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Christy.
Dedra.
Oh, go ahead, Farhana. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for the introduction and for this workshop. I uh, I have heard about AI and I have been hearing about AI for a few years. And the only AI that I have used is ChatGPT here and there. So I want to know how teachers can use it to their benefit and. Yeah, want to know more about it. I teach at Granada Islamic School in Santa Clara, and it's a private school. And what else? I teach
What grade?
science.
There we go. Science? What grade?
Yes, eighth grade and then high school, physics and chemistry.
Perfect. Okay. All right.
And
Next.
I'm Christy. I teach in Northern California. I teach high school English.
Okay.
So that has been an interesting challenge in terms of kids doing their homework and writing. So I have changed a lot of what I do in the classroom. I do a lot more writing in class. Um, but I also have started trying to help students use AI. I actually give AI assignments sometimes. I'm having them learn how to use AI ethically. So we talk about how it's really helpful as a writing coach. We've talked about MLA, how to cite for when you use AI. We've talked about using it to generate ideas. I also use it a lot to help me with teaching stuff. I use Magic School AI, so that's subscription based. So I have that, which is really great for lesson planning, for differentiation, things like that. And I use ChatGPT. I find it's really helpful for, hey, I need DOK level 3 quiz questions for chapter 3 of Fahrenheit 451.
Yeah.
And it does a really great job of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So it looks like I have all aspects. I have new to it, just starting to play with it. And I've already used it in my classroom, and I'm trying to rethink my homework. And I'm really trying to help teach students learn how to do this ethically. So we're going to be doing all things this morning. So if it's not exactly, if it's above your level, just take what you can piece out of it. I always tell people, like, don't think you got to learn everything we're talking about today. Take a few pieces and start exploring and build your mindset. And if I'm going too basic for you, hold tight. I promise I'll get there to the pieces. Now, because this is a virtual conference, I always tell people camera commit. It really helps. But then I'm going to say that with a slight caveat. It looks like my internet is a little unstable today. So I'm running a lot of chats in my background so that I can show you guys some things quickly and easily. So I may have to turn my camera off just to get it to stabilize. But right now it seems to be okay. But camera commit if you can. Write to remember. Write, take notes while we're talking. It will help your brain retain this information. This isn't a Netflix, like watch and just kind of tune out and do something else. But be an active part. If you're here live, ask me questions, be a part of this whole situation, add pieces of information, jump in the chat and run a sidebar conversation. I'd love for it to be there for you guys to have conversations back and forth. And then at the end, reflect and expect. So stop at the end of this and really kind of walk away with 3 big things. And if you walk away with 3 big things, it is certainly worth your time. So I always do this as a reminder when we're doing big virtual things so that we can get all the information. The other thing you should know is I do this for a living. I am a consultant and I love AI. And if you have resources that you need that I don't talk about, or you have follow-up questions, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. I take this very seriously, and I am always here for my teachers. So the first question is, if you don't already use AI in the classroom, why? Why not? And this is an Education Week poll, and the big takeaways from this was I have too much to do. I haven't played with it. I don't know how to use these things, and I don't know what my district wants me to do. Those are kind of the 3 big takeaways. I do think it's important that you hear from your district. But if your district isn't talking, I've talked to a lot of districts who say they don't want to get in the way and over policy AI so that teachers shut down and don't use it because it's a pretty powerful tool. So if your district hasn't come out with something official, just stop in the admin office, stop in to talk to your principal or your building leader or your dean and kind of tell them what you're thinking about using with AI and see if they give you the green light, the thumbs up, or at least give them a chance to be aware of it. The other 2, that's kind of the non-growth mindset. So this idea of I'm not the expert with AI, so I don't want to touch it or show it in my classroom. That's kind of the old school mentality that we kind of take where teachers have to know all the answers and we have to be on top of things. But I encourage you to be vulnerable and talk to students about AI because it is going to be a part of their world. It's going to be a part of our world. And if we don't start learning now, it gets a whole lot harder. So what are we doing today? We are literally just scratching the surface. In 3 hours, I cannot get to where I need to be to get you to be an AI expert. This is just one step. And in that step, we're going to talk about the basics of AI. We're also going to talk about it using it as our assistant in our classroom. It's the cheapest assistant you'll ever hire, by the way, and how we can enhance students' learning with AI. So we are going to talk a little bit about biases and validity and responsible use as well, because I think it's super important. But before we get started, I have to tell you my history with AI. And I am one of those girls who, I guess about 2019, probably, I was clicking through the TV, and I don't know if it was a 60 Minutes or some other little newsy kind of show, and they said cameras in the classroom, and my little antenna went up, and I was like, I don't want cameras in my classroom. Let me see what this is about. So I watched the little segment, and it talked about the fact that these computers were being fed thousands and thousands of facial models. And they were identifying what a face looked like when it was engaged and learning, what a face looked like when it was bored and not paying attention, and what a face looked like when it was confused and didn't understand what was being said. And so it was feeding all these models so that the camera could then be looking at the students while the teacher teaches. And at the end, there would be a report spit out that tells which students understood, which students were not engaged, and which students were confused. And my little differentiated brain, just all the bells and whistles went off because I thought, oh, I didn't think I wanted cameras in my classroom. But if it could help me know who to target in on after a lesson, that could be powerful. And so I was super excited about this idea. Now, I have to sadly tell you, I don't know if this technology exists today. They were still in the training models early on before COVID, and I don't know where it left them. But it was my first exposure to AI, and I'll bet you they said AI, artificial intelligence, large learning language model. I bet they said those things, but it went right over my head because I didn't know what I was looking at. But that was really my first exposure to this idea that computers could help us in the classroom. There are a lot of background knowledge terms that you might want to be aware of. You know, we always love our background knowledge, our background vocabulary. But things you really want to pay attention to, I think, are large language model. That's a type of algorithm that is really has started this whole thing with deep learning techniques. And it's, you'll hear sometimes AI models say that they use a large language model. But you should also know about GPT, generative pre-trained transformer. That's what Chat GPT is, generative pre-trained transformer. Now, the difference is when Chat GPT first came out, it only had information pre-trained up till 2022. The newer model of Chat GPT now goes, if it doesn't know the information and was not preloaded with the information, it sources from the internet. So it's now current. You could ask it something that happened yesterday about politics or any kind of discovery that'll happen, and it should be able to tell you those answers. But previous models were generative pre-trained transformers, which meant if the information hadn't been loaded on the computer, the AI didn't know the answer. Machine learning biases. That's something we'll talk a little bit of time about. That we do need to understand as educators what the limits of AI are and the problems with AI are so that we are using them correctly. And then I put some more things that you might want to be aware of: the natural language processing, the tokens, the augmented intelligence, and just this whole idea of reinforced learning from human feedback, which really is kind of the key to making this little thing work so much better. But I think you brought up a perfect point, Christina. This idea of rethinking what we're doing in the classroom due to these AI tools that are in students' hands. So whether it's Siri or the A girl, which I can't say her name because she's in the room and she'll answer me and be very distracted, or Gemini or Chat GPT or even Microsoft's model or others, the all of them are at our students' fingertips all the time, all the time. And so I think I've been saying this for a long time because of Google, because of the internet, that we have to rethink what we're asking students to do outside the classroom. If you can take what you're asking them to do home and ask Google or Siri or someone else to do it for you, then is the information you're getting into your classroom valid? The data you're getting is not valid.
Could you try
Oh,
again?
see, she even answered me too. So the reality is that that data that you're getting back, it's always been a little skewed. I mean, I was the girl, you know, that learned with encyclopedias. We didn't have the internet when I was younger, but I could easily copy my older sister's homework or copy from somebody on the bus before I walked into your room. So anytime you ask me to do something outside of your classroom, the data could have been skewed, but it's so much more likely now with all the tools at the students' fingertips and with the invention of AI, it's even better that DOK3 questions can be answered, math questions can be answered, essays can be written. And so with that being said, we do have to flip this model. I think the homework will now be looking at the information, processing the information, digesting information. And the classwork has got to spin to actually doing it here with my oversight, with my piece of helping you, which I think is going to really help students learn, because so many times students go home and they get stuck and we're not there to just twist it just a little bit, or dig a little deeper, or challenge them a little more, or scaffold them a little less or more. All of those things that could happen if we were standing beside them don't, because we sit at home for homework, because we're in this old model of I am the teacher. I hold all the information. Let me tell you the information while we're together, and then you go home and do it. Well, now I am not the only holder of information. Information is everywhere, and they can get it in a variety of ways. The question is, do they know what to do with it? And can I help them? So really long time, and we just like to do what we like to do. So that's just kind of like my little soapbox of thinking. The other thing I want to think about is this idea of theory of mind. So in 2017, Google inventors created autocomplete, which was the first large language model where they used to predict what we were going to say. And we all were so excited when the when text started predicting, right? Well, kind of. But from that prediction, the learning machine, the machine of learning, actually started learning theory of mind, which was the ability to guess how someone was thinking, not just guess what they were saying, but guess how they were thinking. And that is a little freaky, but it's really not human. It's not self-aware. It's just this prediction machine that actually is happening. And so I tell people all the time, this is the most rapid change that we will experience in our lifetimes. By far, hands down, AI is going to shift everything from the classroom instruction to the classroom work outside of, to how work happens, to understanding information, learning information. It will change at rapid paces. I was just in an Ohio airport that is not a very big airport, and they don't have a lot of restaurants. They now have a pizza place that is completely ran by automation machines. And you can put in your order. There's no human there at all. They make the pizza, it's waiting in a hot box for you. I think we're going to find a lot more things changing. And I know when things start changing, we get a little resentful. Like, back in the day when the evolution of the computer came, we weren't sure we wanted those. When the train came, I'm sure there were people, my great grandparents, that weren't sure they were ready to go with the steam engine. But this one, AI, in 10 years, they say we're going to have some crazy changes in the world, but even in education, which a lot of times the changes didn't really always affect education. But we're going to have grading be more automated, which is going to free up teachers to focus on interactions with students about learning. We're going to stop having to look at data sets and identify patterns and trends. And the AI is going to point to those things so that you can tailor the instruction. AI is going to change the content and the pace for each student. I think it's going to actually become more individualized over the years. And these AIs are going to be the tutor in their pocket, the personal guidance, the feedback, the practice exercises. But we're going to have to help students switch, because we have, through the sticks and carrots method that we've learned to teach students, we have shifted away from the joy of learning, I think, a lot. It's what am I going to get for that? What's the grade for that? What do I get for doing that? Well, anytime you're getting a reward for doing something, then it devalues the reward of actually the learning that takes place. And just like a good video game these days, the cheat code is too tempting. So I think that's where our students have learned this idea of learning to understand isn't really the goal. Learning to get the A, learning to get the 4.0, learning to get the credit. That's the goal. And if those are the goals and it's not the learning itself, it switches the mindset to how can I do this faster and easier, whether I learn or not. So I do think that we will have to shift mindsets to be able to use AI tutors, guidance, feedback, and practice exercises so that students are actually wanting to learn. I think that's kind of the holdback here for a lot of students, not all students, but a lot of students. And then I think we're going to have a lot more AI powered content, which will probably change the face of textbook companies and their dominance on what we do. I think we can make these things a little more individualized for our specific needs in our specific schools, which is kind of amazing. Now, interacting with a machine may feel very strange, right? So kind of be prepared that there might be some little holdups in that talking to the thing. Now, I have to tell you that I pay for the $20 version of ChatGPT because in my line of work, I can't hire anyone for $20 for a month and get as much work as I get out of ChatGPT. But because I pay for the $20 version, I have the ability to have a conversation with chat and ask it anything and it'll talk back to me. The crazy thing is, it's really good at it. So I'm just going to kind of show you, and I hope you can hear it. Paul, interject if you can't hear it, but I'm just going to ask chat about what we're doing today. So let me log on. Hey, chat, can you hear me?
Hey there. Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
So
How's it going?
So I hope you can hear it. Good. I am with a group of educators, and they are learning about AI and how it works in the classroom. Can you tell me, are there any new changes that have happened recently in the last week or so that teachers should be aware of when it comes to AI in the classroom? I gave it
Yes,
a, go
in
ahead.
AI tools are definitely evolving to help teachers with tasks like grading and lesson planning. For example, Khan Academy's AI assistant Khanmigo and platforms like Magic School are really stepping up to provide personalized tutoring and help teachers save time on everyday tasks. Pretty exciting stuff.
If there's one thing that teachers need to know about AI, what do you think it is?
I think the biggest takeaway is that AI is a tool to assist and enhance teaching, not replace the teacher. It's all about using AI to make things more efficient, to personalize learning, and to free up teachers' time so they can focus on what they do best, connecting with students.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. If you or your group have any more questions or need any tips, just let me know.
So that's AI. That conversation, completely natural, kind of amazing. It's weird. It's a computer. It doesn't really have all the empathy and feelings and relations that it put out there, but it has learned over time how to communicate with us.
And Dedra,
yeah,
Gemini's version is free, and you can do the same thing with Gemini.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just as a free option, if you want to try it out and play around with it.
Yeah. And I will tell you, like, I use this a lot in the kitchen, crazy as it is, but I was just recently making limoncello for the first time for our Memorial Lake experience. And I had a recipe, but I went ahead and asked it what its recipe was. And it was stepping me through the steps where I didn't have to go back and look at my email of my recipe. And it would tell me step by step. It would tell me, I would say next step, and it would tell me. And at one point it said that I needed to strain the liquid with the lemon rinds through the cheesecloth. And I said, I'm not Martha Stewart. I don't own a cheesecloth. What else can I do? And it immediately gave me 2 or 3 other things to try. And it was like having a conversation with a cook in my kitchen. So if you've not used the voice method of Gemini or ChatGPT, I highly encourage you to do it. It is kind of amazing and kind of actually fun. So that's like my first, I want you to try. And I'm going to give you probably at least 5 things to try today while we're talking. I do have to warn you though, chat GPT, AI of any sort, whether you're using Microsoft Gemini or Grok, it's imperfect. It definitely can be tricked. It definitely has biases, not because it wants to, but I think because of the information it is exposed to. It does have biases. It is not perfect and it does make mistakes. I used ChatGPT a lot to help my granddaughter who's dyslexic. She was struggling. Oh, sorry. I turned it up so that you guys could hear it and then forgot to turn it back off. She was struggling with reading. And so I decided to kind of take it on and be her reading tutor for the year last year and use a couple of different tools. But one of the things we did was I wanted her to read stories that were relevant to her. And so I would have chat create stories for her that were about her and her friends and the holidays coming up or an adventure that they were going to do. And I would tell it what level, like I wanted 2.3, grade 2, month 3 reading level. And I wanted it to be read at 21 words per minute, which is what her read aloud speed was. And some of those stories, and I would say make it funny and creative. Well, the reality is that ChatGPT is, or all AI, has some main goals. And those main goals are 1, to make you happy, 2, to answer the question, 3, to not embarrass the creator. Sometimes it's need to make me happy and meet the needs that I said, like make it happy, make it funny, make it interesting, overrode the other thing I said, which was reading at a 2.3 grade level. So sometimes the stories it would give me were fantastic and so good, but they were over her reading level. So I had to check it and give it feedback and tell it, no, that was a 3.7 reading level. That wasn't a 2.3. Can you try again? And it tried to correct it, but sometimes it just didn't do it correctly. So please be aware that just because you put it into chat or Gemini, it's not always perfect. There are some privacy issues you should be aware of. And there's certainly an equity gap that is going to have impact on our educational system for sure. So as you move on, I just wanted you to be sure that you understood that you are already using AI. Netflix is reading your algorithms and analyzing it and offering you up different things based on that. Google Maps and Waze is giving real-time traffic data and predicting optimal routes. Khan Academy, Duolingo are using personalized experiences in Google Translate. And oh my goodness, social media, we all know about the rabbit hole of social media. Once you pause on one commercial, you're going to get more. Once you stop and read one article or watch one video, you're going to go deeper into that funnel. So be very careful with social media and the AI that is definitely changing what you see and are exposed to, which changes your thoughts. But back to our education model. Is this going to take our job away? Is there going to be a computer teaching my students? Overwhelmingly, the research says no, that the biggest thing that you need to know about AI is it's as good as the human running it. Let me repeat that so that you stay focused on it. It's as good as the human running it. So we have to be there to see what's going on, to analyze it, and give it our own personal twist. So before we go too deep and before we get into all the teacher tools that I promised to show you, let's just go play very plainly. I want you to choose your adventure, and I'm going to give you about, I don't know, 5 minutes to do this, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. I want you to imagine, if you'll do me a favor, since there are only just a few of you in here live, if you'll come back into the chat room and tell me that you're done, then we can go right into it. And if you're watching the recording, obviously you can pause the video and go play on your adventure and then come back when you're ready. So I'd like you to pick one of these prompts. Imagine you're planning a dinner party with 5 famous people or fictional characters. What would the theme be, and why would each guest contribute to the conversation? Write a short story where somebody travels back in time to a year they turned 18 and give themselves 3 pieces of advice, one serious, one funny, one about future technology. Rewrite the lyrics of a song that you love, or generate a list of 10 creative ideas for a birthday, a road trip, or a holiday celebration. I don't care which one you do, but pick one of these and go play, and either go play on Gemini or ChatGPT or Microsoft, or try 2. But I'm going to give you about 3 to 5 minutes to do this, and I'm going to watch the chat to see when you're done, and we'll move on to the next thing. All right, did you find anything cool or interesting? Did it kind of blow your mind if you've never played with it? This is the kind of thing we're going to try to do the rest of the time, where I give you a little time to play, because if I don't, then what happens is you go play and stop listening to me. So what do teachers always say they need more of? Well, we always need more money, but other than money, what we constantly tell people is we need more time. Great, Christy. Time. It's time. We never can get enough time. There's so much to do. And the cool thing about teachers is we give our all. It's not required, but we give everything we have to make things great for our students in the classroom. And this AI thing is the tool that's going to give you more time. We are always trying to work less hard. And to do that, we've evolved into like a cheat code, right? If you've ever played video games recently, now I have to tell you, I'm from the old school way of playing video games. I had the Nintendo, where when it got to, you had 3 lives, and when all 3 died, you started over and you only got to the level you got to. But in this day and era, the students have all learned that when you want to get to the next level and it's too hard, you use a cheat code. Well, when time is running out and things are crazy, or you're not feeling creative, think of AI as your cheat code to get to the next level. It doesn't mean it's going to do all the work, but it's going to help you start getting to where you need to be. And if the technology is holding you back and you're thinking, I just don't want to do this, this is too scary, it's too hard, and things are a little overwhelming to me, then I want you to think about music in your lifetime. Now, you might not be as old as I am, but back in my day, we started with the old records, right? Then we moved to the 8-track tapes. From 8-track tapes, we moved to the cassette tape, where we had to use the pencil to roll up the recording. And then we thought we were so fancy with a disc, a CD disc that could possibly get scratched, but how cool was it to get that old record album onto one CD? And when we moved to an iPod that was a little hand device, we thought it was crazy. Reality is now my grandchildren will never know that if music evolved in my lifetime like that. To them, all you have to do is say the name of a song to some computer and it's going to play it for you. The fact that somebody had to pick one artist, buy an album, and you get the 12 songs they chose for you to hear blows their mind. So that is music in my lifetime. It's come all that way. Now, AI, right now, this is where we're at. Where will it be in my grandchildren's lifetime when they become my age? What will it be doing? What will it be taking the place of, or easing things up, or starting things out for us? And I say this to you to remind you that you have to touch it and learn as it's learning. If you get resistant to AI and you decide you don't want to touch it because it's kind of scary and it has biases and it can be wrong, and it's just too hard for me to wrap my brain around, then it will pass you by. And so I tell people all the time, I don't care how techie you are, you must touch AI. You must play with it and understand it, because it's going to be integrated into every part of our lives in the next 10 years. And that's including your job teaching. But even without teaching, if you retire tomorrow, it is going to be a part of the world and you're going to have to use it. So you might as well start now. But let's talk. So you're ready. Well, these are the, I don't know why she's talking to me, but knowing that all of these things stressed people out. Calculators, the web, automobiles, cell phones, the telephone, the art of letter writing disappeared with the telephone, and it broke some people's hearts. But the reality is we moved on. Doesn't matter how much you resist, it will be here. So the biggest things: cheating, safety, and content. We're going to talk about all three of those things, but I want you to keep your eye on this, that using AI, talking about AI, and acknowledging AI in your classroom is going to help the students be prepared for the world they will live in, not the world I came from, the world they live in. And my job is not just to teach them standards, but it's to help them be successful in their world. So I would be doing them a huge disservice if I put my head in the sand and pretended like AI didn't exist. I would also be fooling myself, because if you think just because you didn't bring it up, your students don't know about it, you are absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. So is AI cheating? Is it cheating? It can be considered cheating if kids just cut and paste the answers, which I have to say that the world of Google, kids have been cutting and pasting answers, even if they didn't make sense, without even reading them. Why? Because we're in that fixed mindset of get the answer, not learn the information. So I think it's a huge shift in the education system, focusing on learning, not on grades, not on scores, not on credits. But it can be cheating if it's used incorrectly. But it can also be biased and incorrect. I have to tell you, the more I talk to AI about things, the more it learns my leans. And I think it's leaning my way politically based on the questions I'm asking it. So I've started just really realizing it's just like every social media algorithm. It's trying to make me happy. And when I was in a class about AI a couple of years ago when it first came out, and they said that not only is it growing over the next 3 to 5 years at a faster rate than it'll ever grow, because that anything will ever grow, because it's teaching itself along the way, but that its main goal was to make me happy and not embarrass its creator while giving me an answer, kind of blew my mind and made me realize that it would definitely have skews, and I had to be watching. So here are some things you can use in your, like, from your regular life to your education life. It will help you create a grocery list. It'll help you send an email to parents. It will help you with IEP reports. Creating a newsletter. How many middle school and high school teachers would love to have a newsletter, but there's no time? It will do it for you in a faster way. Creating lessons, analyzing data, being able to upload data and having it compare. I'm going to tell you right now, I had two AI presentations that I've worked on the last several months. One was longer than the other, and I wanted to know what the longer one had in it so I could decide if I wanted to add it to the newest AI presentation I'd worked on. So I had AI compare the two, and it showed me exactly which slides had been added to the longer version, were not in the newer version. And I was able to make my decisions in a much quicker fashion than I normally would. I don't attend a meeting without having AI recording so that it'll take the notes for me. I used to have to write down the important things, look at my chicken scratch, hope that I filled it all in. Now it creates a summary and it gives me action tasks. All I have to do is upload it.
How do you do that? Take
So
notes.
I thank you for asking me that. So I use Otter as my voice recording if I'm in a live meeting. If I'm on a Zoom meeting, I use the Zoom AI feature that does it as well. But Otter will record it and give me summaries. Now, I have to tell you, AI and I have grown up together. I used it very early on, and I used both Gemini and Chat GPT. Chat GPT learned my voice better and understands like the modes that I want, I think, quicker and faster. So that's been my product. So what I tend to do is take the Otter AI notes recording, and then I drop them into my Chat GPT, and it does the cleanest version, gives me a summary and gives me the action items that need to happen. But I'll also tell you, in my Google Mail right now, Gemini is now summarizing emails. So all those email chains that make me crazy, where people have come back and back and back and back, and you're like, I got to go all the way up and remind myself what was said. It now says at the top what my summary is and what I said and what somebody else said. And it does a really, really good job. And that's Gemini, right? So in my Google Mail, that would be Gemini that's doing that AI piece. So I still use them both. I am not a Microsoft girl, so I don't use Microsoft. But if you are a Microsoft person, I challenge you to give it a try. But don't give up on whichever mode you pick. Use them enough that they learn your voice and the way you like the information to come back to you. But so if I'm in a virtual meeting, I'm always using my Zoom AI to record the session and give me a summary. If I'm in person, I open my phone and either voice record notes to transcribe or use Otter AI to transcribe it. And then I drop it into Chat GPT just for an extra measure because it's just a copy and paste. So that's how I do that.
Is Otter AI a free one?
There is a certain amount for free and then the certain amount you pay for, you know how that works. But I think I still use just the free one because I don't have I do most of my meetings on Zoom. But I also, if you have an iPhone, I don't know about other phone models, but if you are an iPhone, I'm gonna have to remind myself where that button is. I think when you're talking to somebody on the phone in the top left-hand corner, there's something that looks like sound waves, kind of like it's black and white and it's got some lines in it. If you click that button, it will record the conversation and it tells both parties it's recording the conversation. And I've used that to then take that into transcribe because sometimes a principal will call me and we'll have an hour conversation about the needs of their building that I'm going to come visit in a month. Well, the problem is in a month, it's hard for me to remember every aspect of that conversation. So I record that conversation via the iPhone, send it to myself, and it transcribes it. And then I drop it into Chat GPT for the summary and the action plans. So that's kind of how I use it personally. I think it would be a great idea to use with parents in a parent phone call just to help you. But if I were walking into a PLC meeting with a group of teachers, I would probably throw my Otter AI on and let it voice record for me so that I had a good summary.
So, while you were talking, I opened the transcript part. Is that what you were talking about for the Zoom meetings or?
So when you pay for Zoom, which I don't know what your model is, I'm going to be honest, Zoom changes things so often. I can't tell you for sure which models charge for it, but my model allows me to do the AI transcribing. So if you'll send me an email, I'll look up the exact steps for a Zoom and send it to you so you can have that. But it's just a little button you click and it just kind of automatically does your AI notes for you anytime you open a Zoom. And I'm certain that Google Meet probably has the same thing. It's just not, I don't use it as often.
Thank you very much.
And here's the thing. If you don't know the answer, go to chat or Google Gemini and ask it. It'll
Ask
tell
it,
you,
right?
right? So it kind of amazes me. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I have to talk about this within the first hour, so I'm glad I made it there. There is something called hallucinations. Now, AI is good, but it's sometimes incorrect. And again, I tell you that this was the most profound information I learned from one of these workshops I attended was its goal is to make you happy, to be right, but not to do anything wrong and embarrass its creator. And that means what we like to say is not that it lies, but that it hallucinates, sources everything on the web looking for the thing that you're looking for. But if it can't find what you're looking for, it's going to make it up. Which is why I tell people all the time that it is perfect for creativity. If I wanted to create a newsletter, use AI. If I want to create a made up story, use AI. But if I want a quote from a famous person, or I want a fact about the moons of the solar system, go to Google, go source the internet, because if it can't find the answer, it's going to make one up. It's better than it used to be because it's now using the web, but it will still have hallucinations and say untrue things. So be very careful when you're using AI to not just believe that it gave you information, so it must be true. It's the same mistake we made when we started getting the internet. Just because it gives you information doesn't mean it's going to be true. I often ask AI to source its information. Give me 2 sources from where you found this information if I'm asking for facts. But I tell people all the time, if you want creativity, if you want something like new ideas to give exit tickets, a new way to present a lesson, a hands-on experiment using alcohol, cotton balls, and a baggie, like lean into AI for that because it's going to be fabulous. But if you're looking for factual information, research information, I'm going to tell you to lean out of that and go straight to the source. Go find the sources that are reputable. So I tell students all the time, I tell teachers all the time, if you want to be creative, lean in. If you want facts, lean out when it comes to AI, and you'll be the happiest. But you should be aware of this thing they call hallucinations. That AI will try so hard to make you happy that it will give you bad facts or bad information. Just like when it was writing the stories for my granddaughter that were funny and good, but they weren't always on reading level because it lost the focus in that area. So please remember that. I also want you to know how quickly it's growing. And so I leave this slide in to remind myself that my AI presentations have changed over the last 2 years. And there are things I used to talk about that I don't need to talk about anymore. This is one of them. I used to have to teach people how to assign a persona, like telling it you're a 5th grade teacher. I used to tell it to make sure that you understood, like it understood what your goal was. AI, especially, I know for sure ChatGPT and Gemini do this. I would assume other AI models do as well, but it remembers back conversations. So it has kind of gotten to know me and my job. Just as the more you use it, it will learn your job and what you do. So you at first start telling it, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, this is what my goal is. And then it starts to remember that. And it'll give things in future questions that you're like, I didn't tell it that at all. That's scary. It's remembering back conversations. So no longer need in ChatGPT to really go in and make a persona because it's remembering that. And again, if I'm looking for a right answer and I go to AI, verify it, or you will be embarrassed. I always say, do 2 sources say the same thing, and are those sources that I believe I can trust? So if I'm asking AI for right answers, I'm going to verify it and I'm going to look for sources to back that up. All right, time for a new adventure. And this time I want you to try two different models, whether it's Gemini, Microsoft, Grok, or ChatGPT. But I want you to pick one of these things and I want you to ask it and see which one sounds like the way you would like the answer the best. And then report that back into chat. One, I have these 3 foods at home. Give me a quick, healthy dinner using those ingredients, or make me a snack using these foods. Then let's see, create a realistic daily schedule to help me manage my time efficiently. Or I'm visiting a city or a place for this many days, suggest an itinerary, local options, activities, special interest. Or I want to use micro habits to have more time during my day. Give me some suggestions. So a self-help prompt. So pick one of these prompts, go to 2 different AIs, give them the same prompt and see what you get. Don't forget to report in the chat when you are done. I figure this will take about 3 to 5 minutes.
I have a quick question. So I
Absolutely.
usually just use ChatGPT and I tried to get into Gemini and it says I don't have access. Isn't that free?
It is free. There is a Gemini Pro that only comes with a workplace membership, but it should be free. I'm wondering, are you at
Well, I
school?
wonder, it's my school account. I wonder if
It's
they
the
have it
school
disabled.
account. Yeah, because
Yeah,
mine
Probably.
is
Okay,
also
I'll try my
disabled.
personal one.
Yeah,
yeah.
mine is also disabled.
Yeah, so I assume that's probably your school blocking that. And for whatever reason, different schools block different ones. Some of them let you use ChatGPT, others let you use Gemini. So if you can find 2, great. If you can't, it's okay. But I'd like you to compare 2 different AI versions to see which one you think is more like you. It's not a right or a wrong or a better or worse. It's just which one meets the needs a little bit better. So 3 to 5 minutes. All right, so we played with this little adventure. Hopefully you got to see the different comparisons of a few different AI sources. I'm going to tell you, there are people who prefer one over the other. I prefer ChatGPT, so I refer to it a lot. A lot of people are Gemini people. I tend to be a Google person. But as I grew, because I started using AI super early, what I think is I was using both, but ChatGPT learned me faster and started giving me answers that in a format that I preferred. So I don't know that it's Gemini is not good. I just think that chat learned me faster. And once I've invested and it's learned all these things about me, it's hard to switch. I've started trying to use other AI models just so that I become well versed in all of them because that's kind of my thing. But honestly, for time's sake, I just go to chat because it knows me best. So I don't think it's better than the other. I think it's just learned me better over time. So that's my kind of takeaway from that. So let's kind of talk safety. I need you to be aware. I need teachers to be aware. I need principals to be aware. I need districts to be aware that safety has to be first when we go into the educational realm of AI. It can get super exciting and we can get all in on certain things, but I need you to be FERPA and COPA aware. You cannot give specific information about a student, their names, their grades, their behavior, their attendance. Those are sacred pieces of data. And we are not, I certainly am not completely sure where this data goes. So I'm going to tell you my hard and
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm texting her now. I think she's frozen. Just going to pause the recording for now.
So let's talk about safety. FERPA and COPA aware. You cannot give personal information about students, their names, their grades, their attendance, their behavior. That is sacred information, and that is not information I am willing to put into AI of any sort because I'm not 100% sure where that data is going or who has access to that data. So, as much as I love AI as my helper, I am very, very sure that I want to protect those sacred people. I do often are writing a letter, an email to a parent about grades. I'm going to use XX as the student. I'm going to use XX as the grade. I'm going to not even mention my school name because I just want to be super, super protective over student information. I will tell you that even in a recommendation letter that I ask AI to draft for me, which by the way, if you have not tried that, it is amazing because I used to use the same recommendation letter and tweak it a little bit. And it always just like was the last thing on my to-do list because it was a little brain taxing. Now I can go to AI and tell it, I have a former student who carried a 3.0. She was super responsible and a great learner, and I want to recommend her for this. And it will help me shoot out the best recommendation letter that is fine tuned for that person. But I use XX as that person's name. I never use that person's name because I don't want to give that data away to some unknown source that I'm unsure about. So safety definitely needs to be first. You need to know that the White House is working and has been working since on AI and how to integrate it in the classroom. It will eventually release all of those details to us, but it is trying to be on the front end. But the biggest thing I want you to be aware of is that compliance for students under 13, that Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA, that says we limit the collection of personal data from children under 13, which would probably affect everyone up until the 8th grade. So being aware of that under 13 rule, that many AI platforms have these same terms of service that say that students under 13 cannot have an account. Now, I have a granddaughter who is going into the 7th grade. And I decided to take the look at AI as kind of like, I'll just be blunt, sex. I decided that I would teach her about AI before she learned it on the streets and learned it wrong. And that's really how I feel like teachers should approach AI, that if you are not talking about AI, they're learning it from somebody on how to cheat. And so I wanted her to see what it does well, what it doesn't do well, what its capabilities are, because I know it will be in her life. And so she and I have used ChatGPT a lot. She actually is quite fascinated by it, and she has conversations like it's a real person. And I get to see all the history. But she could not set up her own account because she's under 13. So she has to use my account. Well, now that ChatGPT remembers past conversations, I have told it that when I say I'm Adeline, this is Adeline, then to know that he is talking, that ChatGPT is talking to a 12-year-old girl, and that the answers should be appropriate for a 12-year-old and support her in a social and emotional development. And I will tell you some of the conversations that AI has, I could not replicate. It does such a good job of emotionally supporting her. Even when she gets a little bit sassy, it gives her encouragement, it gives her directions, it gives her choice and voice. it helps her brain develop. And she absolutely loves having conversations and challenging AI when she's bored, when she wants to write a story, when she's feeling frustrated. It helps her with social and emotional regulation. It's been kind of mind blowing to me that it's probably a better counselor than I would sometimes pay for. So her account is actually my account. And I was worried that her weird questions would mess up my algorithm. And I was worried at what kind of information it would be giving. So I told it that, and I have been very pleased with it. Is that the fail safe? Absolutely not. But I say that to say with you that as students touch AI, we have to be 100% sure of the terms of service and what we're allowing students to do or not do. Now, when it comes to ethical considerations, I have to tell you this, that a lot of people are worried that this is going to rob students of the ability to critically think or information, and that students should be critically evaluating that information. Whoops. Hope you guys can still hear me. I'm getting the warning again. There are lots of concerns about plagiarism and originality and ethical use. And it really should be used as a tool for learning, but not for a shortcut to complete work. I had a friend who was teaching when AI just first hit the scene, and he did an amazing job of helping his middle school students understand. He gave a prompt for an essay to 5 different classes. And so the first class, he told them they had to write their essay from start to finish with no aid in his classroom where he could see them. Had to be all them. And so they wrote their essays. Then second hour, he said, I want you to brainstorm about the essay, but then I want you to give your brainstorming information to AI and let AI write the final product. Then he took the third hour and he did just the opposite. He said, let AI do the brainstorming on this prompt, and then you write the essay from start to finish. And then in fourth hour, he said, just ask AI to write the essay, period, and stop. And for fifth hour, he said, I want you to write the essay, but I want you to give the essay to AI to make recommendations to make it better, and then change it. So we had 5 classes that approached the same essay, the same prompt in 5 different ways. He took all the essays, mixed them all up, and had students read them, analyze them, and classify them on what they thought was happening. Couple of 2 takeaways that came from this experiment. 1, students learned multiple ways that you can use AI. They talked about the ethical considerations about some of those methods. Then they started reading the essays, and they realized that there were telltale signs in an AI generated essay that they could almost recognize by some of the words that it used, whether it was AI or not, which tells you something if you're plagiarizing, that it could be giving itself away. The other thing that they noticed was that they preferred the written products that were either human generated or generated with the assistance of AI, but still had a heavy human hand in it, which is a great message for middle school and high school students who do want to use the cheat code to get to the answer. But the fact that the best products came when we used human pieces. So I give that to you to say that you can not talk about this with kids, hoping that they won't use it to cheat, or you can be honest with them, have conversations with them, and help them grow their ethical part of their being. I also want to talk to you about, we should be guiding students in formulating the prompts to get the responses we want. And students need to understand, just like teachers understand, that it can have incorrect information. It can have biased information. If they don't understand that, they will believe it's just another Google tool. Ask it a question, it tells you the answer. That's not always the case. And as we incorporate activities with students where they can brainstorm, generate ideas, or summarize discussions, we want to talk about that idea that we still have to ensure that students are developing the skill. You can use AI to help, but can you still perform the objective in which I was asking without AI assistance? That's got to be the place. I think in the next year or two, we're going to come to a place where AI generate, like we should be claiming when we use AI and when we don't use AI. I think it needs to be sourced just like everything else. I don't think people are there yet, but I think it definitely on every email should be like, this was AI assisted. AI assisted should be something we claim. I also want you to be sure of that student data and looking at how students use the AI in the classroom. It has to be supervised. You can't just ask a student to go home and use AI to do it. I think that we have to make sure that they know when to lean into AI and when not to. And remember my rule of thumb, if you need ideas for creativity, if you need the start of something, if you need a brainstorm of something, it's a perfect place to recommend an AI assist. But if you need factual information, then it's probably not your best tool. And it's that whole idea of using the tool that's right. You don't always use a mallet when something smaller will work. Skill development. AI can create ideas for writing, but students still need to be participating in the creative writing process. We want them to be able to evaluate and synthesize information, and we want them to be able to create their own, but they can use it for a story starter, for an evaluation, for recommendations. I tell people all the time, if you want to be a really great teacher, record yourself and then let AI give you some impact. So responsible AI use, transparency, and consistent human oversight is kind of the key to using AI correctly. All right, so temptation ahead. I'm going to start showing you some things. You're going to be tempted to stop listening to me and just start doing the things. I want you to know that you might miss something if you get to that point. So if you're watching this by video, please be sure to hit pause, go play, and come back. If you're watching this live, I promise I'm going to give you chances to play. Wait for those opportunities. So these are kind of the big 5 right now. And again, I say right now, but these are the 5 that are generally the big ones when it comes to AI. Claude, Grok, Microsoft Copilot, Chat, and Gemini. And I've had that talk with you already, so I'm not going to repeat it for this slide, but you just have to find the one that works for you best. Be careful of sources. Lots of times you'll find when you ask it things like the capital of something or how many moons Jupiter has, when was the smartphone invented, you might get right information, but you might get wrong. It's doing better now because it's using the internet to source, but you can confuse it with things like, give me a quote from Abraham Lincoln, or what did Albert Einstein say about AI? You can confuse it. Not always, but you can. And different AI tools do different things. The biggest takeaway I want you to see from that and all the talk we've talked about up till now is that AI needs a human. It is a computer following a large language model. It is predicting, but it is not alive. And it needs a human eye, a human brain, to analyze, to refine, to correct, and give feedback. That is what makes us vital to this piece of technology. Okay, so it's time for mind-blowing things we can do to save us time. Are you ready? What about a rubric? Create a rubric for a brochure project with each row graded on a 1 to 4 scale for middle school students. I probably should say what I'm teaching as well. So my subject area. So I'm going to show you a couple of prompts and I want you to decide which one you think would work. Now, what I want you to see in this prompt is I didn't just say, make me a rubric. I didn't just say, make me a rubric for middle school students. I didn't say, make me a rubric with a 1 to 4 scale. I was detailed. Now, a few months ago, I was training teachers on AI and I had a teacher challenge me. And she said, some of these prompts are so long. Wouldn't it just be easier to do it myself? Well, I mean, I'm not saying you can't do this yourself, but I can tell you when I have written a rubric from scratch, it has taken me a while to get it there the way I want it. Why not take a few minutes to write an elaborate prompt that contains all the details and then tweak that as opposed to starting from a blank page? I might even tell it the objective that I am objective, I don't know, RSIV3. And this is where it comes from. And it will go there, read that, and understand that. So you don't always have to put it in verbatim. But using that information is going to give me the best possible answer. Here's a reference letter giving the details of that student will write a much better recommendation letter than just give me a recommendation letter. Here's one more, especially for my new teachers who are unsure of their content or learning their content or working their way through their content. What are the top 3 to 8 misconceptions a student using understanding fractions in the 5th grade might have? If I put this prompt in ahead of teaching fractions to my 5th graders, I'll bet I'm going to teach in a way that covers those misconceptions and probably closes some gaps for learning that I might not have thought about until I got halfway through the lesson, or maybe even at the end of the lesson with a formative assessment. So I'd like to challenge you to take a second, pull up your AI of choice, and ask it either to write a reference letter, but give it a detailed piece of information, or ask it to create a rubric on something you know that you normally need a rubric for. Be sure to tell it your audience. Be sure to tell it what scale you wanted. Maybe you want good to great. Maybe you want a 1 to 5 and what you're going to be using it for. Or just simply ask it for a misconception on something that you teach. So I'm going to pause for about a minute and a half and let you do your thing. Saw it coming through. All right, so we played with the misconceptions or the rubric. Is there any feedback you want to share with the group or the recommendation letter? Anything you want to talk about or ask about?
Have already used AI for both of those things, and I love it. It's great.
Oh.
I mean, obviously, you have to go through and check it and make sure it's what you want. But AI is also really good at, if you give it feedback and say, hey, can you change this paragraph? And if you're really specific, it's really great at like revising too. So I love it. I
Absolutely.
love using it for that.
Yeah, and the reality is a lot of people don't realize the more feedback you give it, the better it gets at giving you what you want. So it is learning. So when we take the time to give it feedback as opposed to just cutting and pasting and revising the 3rd paragraph ourselves, you're helping it learn your preferences and the models a little bit better. So it is always learning. Here's a few more prompts. How about this one? I'm having my students write a claim evidence reasoning argument. For the claim, we should allow use of cell phones in school. The argument can't be more than 1 paragraph. The students only need to use 1 piece of evidence. Provide 3 different exemplars for this assignment. 1 that would receive an A, 1 that would receive a C, and 1 that would get an F. I always love to have my students look at exemplars and critique them for what's missing based on what we've talked about how to make it better or what they look like. And there were just never enough out there. And so what I found was I spent a lot of time writing them myself. I love that this can give me a jump in that. If I'm a writing teacher, this is definitely something I want to do. I might even do this with lab notes for a science teacher, different versions of lab notes for a lab so that I can teach them what is the correct model and what isn't. Emails. I want to purchase an AI membership to Kalingo to use this year in my classroom for student learning. AI will help you write that email to your principal. Another thing that I don't have in here, but this just sparked my thought process, especially when using it like in a private school setting, grants. Big districts often have grant writers. That's literally their sole job, is to find and write grants. I think that AI is going to level the playing field because you can lean on it to do some of your heavy lifting for grant applications. And then, of course, that human piece that we talked about. You have to put human eyes on it, but I think it can make a huge, huge difference for leveling the playing field, for giving people opportunities that they might not normally have had. What about this? I got this email from my district or my diocese about new policies. Summarize this email and any action items into it. Copy and paste the email. How many of you have ever gotten a really long email that was from a mad parent and you're just thinking, I just need to know what it is you're mad about or what you want me to do? Cut and paste. Ask it to summarize it. Get a big policy email. Don't have time to read 14 paragraphs. Cut and paste. Ask it for the action items. This is one of those time-saving tools that will help you. And like I said, Google Gmail, I've already got it. It's already built in automatically for me. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference. I do know I have like a workspace, which gets me a few more things than most people, but it already does it within my Gmail. So if you want to know how to do that, ask Gemini and see if you can figure out why yours may not already doing that automatically, because I don't think I chose it to happen. Students have completed their group presentations over chemical elements from a periodic table. Write 5 metacognitive reflection questions they can complete to help them reflect on the process, both personally and working with the group. It's a good one. I often want reflection questions. I often get like the first 2 or 3 good, but then I need more choices. So let's just go see. Can you guys still see my screen? Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. Okay, so let's just go see what happens when I pop this one in, what it comes up with. What did I contribute to my group's success and what could I have done differently to be more effective? I usually get that one. How well did our group work together and what helped or hurt? What strategies did I use to learn and remember information? Oh, I like that one, about an element and how well did it work? So I'm having kids think about their thinking. What challenges did I face during the project and how did I handle them? And if I had to do this project again, what would I keep the same and what would I change? These are great metacognitive. Now let's take that same prompt over to Gemini, see what it says. These are a little more detailed. Now I'm going to tell you that's probably because chat knows me and knows I don't like a lot of details. I like it to get to the point. But what was the most significant new thing learned about your chemical element during the project that you didn't know before? How did this process of researching present this information deepen your understanding? So these are pretty thick. Presentation and effectiveness, problem solving and adapt. I like that it gave me group titles, like it categorized. But these are probably, I would only use 1 or 2 of these maybe, right? This is a lot of metacognitive. So I'm going to say, can you make these questions a little more brief? See what it does with that. Oh, see? What was a moment of teamwork? What was the biggest challenge? How did you handle it as a group? How did your group deal with unexpected problems? I like that one. What was your presentation's strongest point? If you did this again, what was one thing you could change? Now, as a good human, I might look at these, compare them to these, and then I might create my own, right? That's using AI as an assistant and not a cheat code. So a great way to go that direction. By the way, I, as you could see, use Canva for my presentations now. I've moved away from PowerPoint or Google Slides. I like Canva. There is a tool in Canva called Bulk Create, which is an AI assistant that I absolutely love. I told you that I used AI to help my granddaughter with dyslexia as a reading tutor, and it would often create stories for me. I asked chat to then 10 to 12 words.
Looks like she's rejoining us again.
You're on mute.
I think I was kicked out again. Love it. All right. So are we recording?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And let me share my screen again. I don't know where I dropped off. And you lost me, but I think I was talking about Canva and the Bulk Create. So I hope you picked that piece up.
Yeah, that's where we lost you.
Okay. Did I walk through the process of Bulk
You
Create?
mentioned the last thing we heard was you had used it for your granddaughter, and then we didn't hear anything after that.
Oh, okay. So ChatGPT would write those stories for me, and then I would ask it to give me 10 to 12 words that I might want to front load for her before reading the story. And it would give me those 10 to 12 words. Sometimes I would pick my own, but then I would take those words to see over here on the left-hand side in Canva, there's something called Bulk Create, which allows you to dump information in a presentation and it'll put it into multiple slides. So I would bulk create, enter manually, and I would put the 10 words in, and then you just simply connect the data and it will create all the slides in one slideshow. So think about this. I did it for words, but you could do it if you had certificates to give students, right? How many times have we created multiple certificates? This one, make one certificate in a presentation, connect the data for the changing pieces, and boom, it does it for you. Another thing, how many times do you make slides with multiples of the same information? So maybe the question is different, but the answer choices are the same. I could create like bulk question answer type things that come out. So that bulk create is an AI generated piece of Canva, which is definitely worth looking into if you are a Canva user. All right, so back to where we're going. I took a little sidestep. Sorry. I think the internet is struggling with me changing my screens, but that's just kind of the nature of this presentation. DOK, depth of knowledge. So hard sometimes to make sure our depth of knowledge hit the level. I love to get AI's input in for this. I want a assessment question for the following standard. at it and analyze it and see if it meets the piece that I need it to. Because so often, especially with verbal questions, we ask low level depth of knowledge. We stay on that DOK1. Sometimes we get to 2, but students have to hear it verbally and they have to see it on assessments to really get good at those higher level depth of knowledge questions. What about this? We all use the same formative assessment ideas and they get boring and tired. You can ask AI to help you with formative assessment uses ideas for your classroom. Give it content, give it selected pieces. What about, do you have any agendas that you have to create for educational clubs or your department or your PLCs? I can list off the things I want to do in the agenda and it will create a agenda in seconds. Okay, I hope I don't get kicked off the internet, but let's try this. Watch this run. Oh, whoops, that's not the one I want. Here we go. So I'm going to take this well-written prompt and I'm going to go over to chat. How many of you have ever dreaded making the agenda? It's timed it. Look how it's broken it into times for me. And with a little feedback, I could tell it I wanted longer, shorter. I don't want this section. I do want this section. I need to add this. And it would do the things that I needed it to. Is your mind blown yet? Are you excited? Saving time, that's our focus today. So as we kind of go into this prompting piece, I wanted to kind of talk to you about this idea of being specific, giving enough background information. If you have examples of the answers you want or what the answer should look like or sound like, give it to AI. Showing it examples makes a huge difference. Don't use a lot of languagey words. Like, don't have a conversation with it. Be very straightforward, very concise. The more words you put in, it might get confused a little bit better. Oftentimes I have to tell it to change the tone. So I need it to be friendlier because sometimes I'm too to the point. I just answer the question and I need a little friendlier. My assistant that works with me, she is way too friendly. And sometimes you can lose her information in all the sweetness. And so she needs to be more direct. So let AI know the tone and the needs that you have. I would clearly, if I were working on a parent generated anything, I would tell it not to use over 5th grade reading level because I do not guarantee that my parents won't be overwhelmed if it is too collegiate. If you want specific answers, ask it, tell it, these are the questions I need you to prioritize. How long it needs to be, you saw how I ask it to be more brief. And try a few different prompts and give it feedback. That is really how you get there. But the more you do these things, the happier you're going to be with the results. So let's look at a few things, and I will send this out with the handout. These are my AI prompt pieces, but I'm going to tell you the art of a good prompt is the key to getting what you want. So grade level of words you're using, the audience that you're addressing. Are you making an email, a letter, a newsletter? What is the tone? What are the details? I have to tell you, I've been doing a lot of things where I'm making short announcements and I love the emojis. And the more I loved the emojis, the more emojis it gave me, which didn't work for some things. So I had to kind of tell it to like cool it on the emojis. But I have a prompt recipe for success and it's called Facted. And I'll give you the whole sheet, but basically you need to remember the format. So I need a step-by-step outline. I need bullet points. I don't want bullet points. I want paragraphs. What is the format you want this to come out in? Who is your audience? What is your criteria? So include interactive activities like group discussions and debates. Avoid long lectures. Task. I need you to do what? So you're going to tell me first, I need this in a step-by-step guide. The audience is 8th grade. The criteria is on a certain objective. The task is to create a lesson plan on the causes of World War II. What's my end goal? To engage students and encourage critical thinking. What is my tone? Student friendly. So here's an example. Generate a list of primary movement for high school students. Include authentic materials such as speeches, photographs, letters, legal documents. Avoid secondary sources like textbooks. And write informative and clear tone suitable for high school students. The goal is to help students engage with authentic materials with a deeper understanding of the civil rights movement. This will get you a beautiful creation because I took the time to give it everything I wanted. Here's another one. Ecosystems for 5th grade students, activities to allow them to demonstrate their understandings of ecosystems in creative ways, include options like dioramas, writing a story from the perspective of an animal, designing a digital infographic. So I gave it all kinds of information and I told it what my goal was. That is going to get me a better answer. So as you get frustrated when it doesn't give you what you want, I'm going to tell you that you're probably not taking time to give it all the information you need. Here's a great one. How many of us love a Socratic questioning? So create a list of strategies for critical thinking skills for 5th grade in whatever subject areas and include such as Socratic questioning, problem solving, present your results in a step-by-step guide. This is a great way to get what it is you need. A great way to get what you need. And I've given you lots of examples. Again, all of these come to you in a handout. And I give you some simple prompt requests you might consider for saving you time. I've shown you several of them, but I've got a whole giant list. So now I want you to just go play. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. And I want you to go to the AI of your choice. And I want you to think about your curriculum. And I want you to think about what you can ask it to do. Just kind of brainstorm, see what you come up with, and be ready to report back to us in 5 minutes. Ready? Go. So what did you play with? Anyone want to jump in and share?
Sure. I asked it to create an yearly plan for high school physics. I just wanted to see what it does. So a few years ago, when I first taught this class, I had to go through so many documents and what the UC requirements are and what standards I had to use. It took me weeks to create one. Like I really worked during the summer to create one. And
Yeah.
now I just asked it to create one using the UC A through G curriculum. It just built out the whole thing, pretty much everything I worked for weeks is there.
And you're like, wow, those weeks are gone. But oh, if only. Which AI did you use?
I actually used three. I used first with ChatGPT and then Microsoft Copilot and Perplexity. All three of them.
Which one did you like the best?
I think I like ChatGPT the best so far because they are more comprehensive. It is more comprehensive. It suggests the labs and everything, like which week to which week, what should I
Wow.
use. It looks like it has more information.
Wow. It even suggests the labs. That's crazy. Okay, awesome. And you started so big, so big. Okay. Christy?
Yeah, I actually did a yearly plan as well. I'm actually working on my yearly plans for next year right now. So I was just kind of curious to see what it would do. What kinds of things would you prioritize in an English 9 class? And then I asked it to prioritize the Common Core standards for English 9 because
Mhm.
this summer I'm going to have a conversation with the 8th grade teacher. So then I asked it to give me a list of 8th grade ELA standards that are connected to my prioritized standards, just to kind
Love
of
it.
see what that would do. So that would facilitate our conversation this summer.
Absolutely. How awesome. And you can even ask it to create a list of discussion questions for the conversation between the 8th and the ninth grade teacher based on this information.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is awesome. I love that you guys all both started so very big. So from scope and sequence of your planning of your lessons, what about just leveling up your lessons? So like think about using a lesson you're teaching already or you plan to teach and using AI to kind of tweak it. So thinking about ideas that you might want to use to transform your lesson. For example, maybe you have not used bell ringers, but you want to, or you struggle with your bell ringers being relevant. Using your lesson plan to ask it to create a bell ringer, or you knowing the lesson, these are the vocabulary, like this is the vocabulary and I need a new game, or exit tickets, or check for understanding, or I need a resource that supports learning, that creates station rotations, um, enhancing this lesson in some way, making it more relevant to students' real lives. Add on like hands-on activities. Sometimes my lessons are great, but I need kids to get up and move every 20 minutes, and I don't have that many hands-on activities available. So I can ask it to kind of take my lesson and make it better. Create an energizer game to go with the lesson, or modify this lesson to use the gradual release of responsibility model, or a differentiation model, or a workshop method. So using a lesson you already love and do, but tweaking it in some best practices that our principals or our building leaders are asking us to use. And I mean, don't be afraid to just say, here's a lesson. What else what critique can you give me? What would you tell me to do to make this lesson even better? And seeing what it does. And then try it with, that whole idea of being clear about your audience and the role and the goal that you want to get to. I normally give you 30 minutes for this, but I'm not going to get to the tools if I don't do this. So if you're watching this recording, pause it and go play for a while. If you are here live, since we've kind of covered in depth, I'm going to just like leave this for you to be homework so I can get through all the samples I want to try. And I know this is a lot, and you're just thinking, my gosh, if I could do it with this scope and sequence, what else could I do? And you really are probably trying to read your scope and sequence right now, and you're done listening to me. But not only can you take a lesson plan you've already done and make it better, you can create lesson plans with it. You need to be specific. Do you want to use the gradual release model? Do you want a bell ringer? Do you want an exit ticket? Do you need differentiation? Do you need scaffolding? Do you need hands-on models or get up and move activities? And like just be as detailed. And if you have a good model that you love, use that as the example. But you can get lesson plans, and that just kind of blows my mind. How many Sundays I spent trying to tweak the textbook lesson plans to make them more relevant to my students. Add technology. I'd go look on technology to find a game that supported it, or I wanted to do station rotations on Wednesday, and so I had to work really hard to come up with ideas. It's going to do the creativity heavy lifting. You still need to know your content. You still have to know your students, and you still have to understand what it is you want in your lesson plan. But it can do the creativity part for you. I was super creative when it came to movement and class activities in my classroom. but I was not always great at getting through, like, just like some days I was just not always good at getting it all to what it needed to be. So helping me get to that point by going full on, this is the model I want to use. Like, I had a school year where everybody wanted the DOK 3s and higher. That was a struggle every single day, getting from DOK 1 to DOK 3. But taking a lesson and asking it to build on that and use that model would make a huge, huge difference. So lesson plans, I want you to think about using it to tweak the lesson plans you already have, but to create lesson plans using the model that you want it to have is huge. But this last hour, I really want to get to all the cool tools that are out there. I gave you a lot of time to experiment with just AI, right? And I hope you saw that this cost you nothing and that you were able to use AI to do what you needed to do for lesson plans, for scope and sequence, for bell ringers, for letters, for rubrics. You can use just basic AI, but there are a lot of really cool tools that you should know about. And so to the rest of this time, I'm going to show you a couple and then let you pick the one you want to play with and play for 3 or 4 minutes and then come back. So that's kind of how we're going to run this last hour, is kind of a show and know. This is called demolab.com. It's sketchmetademolab.com. All this site does is, if students create a drawing, you upload the drawing and it animates the drawing. So it's perfect for my elementary students who create characters and stories they've written, but I could probably think of a few ways I could use it in a secondary science classroom or language arts classroom. It's a very, very simple little site, but it animates us hand drawing into kind of a fun little activity. So this is SketchMeta Demo Lab. Demo Lab is what I call this one. This one, I don't know, and I'd love to hear, like, if you've heard of this. This is called Diffit. So if you just jump into the chat or unmute and say heard it or haven't heard it.
Haven't heard it.
Okay. Christy, have you heard about it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So Diffit, I'm going to go, I'm going to end my slideshow and I'm going to go show you a little Diffit. So Diffit is one of those sites, and I'm going to turn off my video so that it's not making it hard. So this is one of those freemium kind of things, but it will take whatever you're teaching and it will give you things to go with it. So student ready activities. So think about this: a 3-2-1 reading summary, a character phone design. So you design a phone for a character, which I've done a million times, but I created this myself. Create your own questions, emoji reactions, vocabulary practices, Google form quizzes. Like, it does everything. So we're just going to say, we're going to jump in, and I'm saying, here's where I'm at. Get students ready resources for literally anything: a book. So think about our stories, an article or a YouTube link, or I can upload a text or PDF or a vocabulary list. And by the way, do you notice reading level, which I would never, like, I would probably put it a little under where my kids are to make sure everybody can get there. But think about this. I'm going to go over to, I'm just going to use YouTube. And I'm going to pull see if I can find something informative that's not just too short. The Secret Language of Trees is 15 minutes long. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to take it over to my Diffit, drop in my link, I want this on 6th grade, generate some resources. By the way, on my homepage, I could have aligned to state standards or core standards if I wanted to. And here you go. It's almost there. It's almost there. It's so close. And you guys can see I'm on my DFID website. If not, tell me you're not
Yeah, we
seeing it.
can.
Okay. Oh, it's trying so hard. Be patient, be patient. So I think I'm going to slip over here while I'm waiting. Now, obviously it charges, like it will charge schools to do this. Just trying to think of anything else I could spin while I'm waiting for you. Resources. Oh, there it
Can
is.
you get a private account or is it only organizational accounts?
You can do private because I have a private account.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't have an organization. So here's using this website. Now, this YouTube. Now, remember, I could have used a PDF. I could have used a website, but here is the text information, which I could customize. I could pull out content. I could show sources. There's the summary. There's the key vocabulary words. There's multiple choice questions, short answer questions, open-ended prompts. But look over here on the right side. I can do a bubble map. I could use a Frayer model. I could use a 3-2-1. Look at all of these sheets are generated with this YouTube in mind. So the content, there's a Google form. There's a printer save PDF, a simple Google Doc. What if you used this 3-2-1 reading summary while your students were watching? Ready to go. I love the explain why you picked that answer. What if you had kids that were at home trying to learn? Could this make it more meaningful? This was done in just a few minutes on DFID. So DFID is really using the content you give it to create student-ready resources. And again, the school, you can charge for school, but everything I used was on the free part. So that is DFID, which I know now I have more information, but stay with me, stay with me. The next thing, CuratePod, this one helps you create interactive lesson plans. And a lot of time, like it creates presentations in much the same way. It's good for brainstorming and creatively engaging. It's a good one to check out. So DFID and CuratePod, I think, are very similar. I definitely want you to go play a little deeper. But now I want to show you Teach FX, one of my absolute new favorites. This one is called Teach FX. For free, it gives you 3. So if you want to pay to do more, you can do more. But what the free trial gives you free. And what this does is it improves your instruction. So you use it while you're presenting, and it is going to give you feedback. It's going to tell you what percentage of the time you were talking versus students. It's going to give you some strategic instructional suggestions, how many open-ended questions you gave, what your word clouds, your talk time. It's a really cool teacher evaluation tool that I find quite fascinating, because I think in this AI world, we're going to find more PD that is more like we're going to go on our own learning journeys and our own evaluations. Again, less of the everyone sit and get to what is it I want to learn and go explore and do more. So that's Teach FX. Lesson Up. Oh, I think that one is already here. So this is Lesson Up. Again, I have access to the premium for a certain amount of days, but they still do a lot for free. But I want you to see that you can make a start from scratch lesson. You can create it with AI. You can import slides to create a lesson. And you can, I guess, like there's you can create classes and push it out that way. But I have literally just used it, like just go in and say, I want a blank lesson, create my lesson. Let's see, we're going to call it, yeah. What in the world? Let's go here. Oh, something's not. It says I'm not online, but I am clearly online. I'm gonna refresh. Ooh, I'm having some major.
Did we lose her again, or is this my internet? Can
No,
you guys
she's
hear me?
frozen,
Oh, okay.
and she'll
My
be
internet has
rejoining us
cut me out a
shortly.
few times too, so.
Yeah, it's not the most ideal internet day.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long ago I lost you guys. I don't see a text.
A
So
little bit ago,
a little bit ago.
I was just about to text you when you popped back on. Um,
So had I talked about Diffit and shown Diffit?
Yeah, we were at Lesson Up.
Okay, Lesson Up. So Lesson Up is when I started noticing I had problems. So Lesson Up is a really good, I'm not going to pull it up because I don't want it to throw me into some kind of spin again. I want to get through this. And I think what I'm going to do is just show you guys everything and then let you go play so we don't have to keep doing this over and over. So Lesson Up is really good for building lessons. I can give it something or I can build it from scratch, very much like Diffit, very much like CurryPod. The next one I was about to showcase for you guys when I realized I was gone was probably one of the best ones for new teachers. It is edugpt.com. And this site, I'm just struggling. I'm going to turn off the video. This site allows you to, let me give it a minute while it's pulling up. Choose who you are. So it is basically like a chat GPT persona as an educator. And it's in beta version right now, which means they're testing it and it's free. Okay. So once they get really good at it, they're probably going to start sharing, which is going to break my, charging money, which is going to kill me because I think this is one of the best tools for new teachers. This allows me to say, I'm a biology high school teacher. I'm a fifth grade math teacher. And once you connect with the persona, that is what you're teaching, then you can have conversations about bell work, exit tickets, students' engagement, learning, objectives, and it's going to talk back to you as if it is to a biology teacher teaching ninth grade students. It is to a struggles from everything from classroom management to lessons, but it knows your content area. It knows your content area. And again, this one is free. This is edugpt.com. It is free because it is still in beta version. Magic School is probably one of the most popular. And I think Christy said she plays with it. She's used it. Christy, what do
Yeah.
you love from Magic School?
I haven't used a ton of stuff because I haven't had it that long, but I've used it to create lesson plans. My uncle told me about it. He teaches at my same school, and he likes to use it to differentiate reading. He teaches a reading class to ESL students. So he'll take a passage and then put it at different levels for them to read. But mostly I've just used like assessment creation and I've used the rubric generator some too, but I've just used like about 3 of the tools. I haven't played around a lot with it yet.
I think it does some things really good. And I do think that I don't want to build my profile. It does some things really well, but I also think a lot of things that people are paying money for could also be done with just a regular um, AI account.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So but I do think a lot of teachers who are not very, like, tech is not their favorite area, then they feel more comfortable with something that is a little more like this. So I challenge you to play with it, see what you like about it, and kind of explore. So it's a freemium. So it has a little bit of free and a little bit of charge. I do like what your uncle said. It's kind of like back in the day we used Newsy LA to lower the reading level on their documents. Now you can use any document to lower the reading level. You can again use that with regular AI, but this one is a little more cookie cutter and a little bit easier sometimes if you struggle. So from everything from a presentation generator to a text summarizer, an email responder, science labs, letters of recommendations, like everything education wise is probably in here. An advanced learning plan, a restorative reflection sheet, they're all in here. And you can use them to help kind of generate YouTube video questions. It aligns to the YouTube video, which a lot of sites do. But Magic School is very popular, and so I can't not talk about it because a lot of people love it and use it. Khan Academy has their own, and it is Conmingo. And a lot of educators are really loving it. And I will just tell you, it is basically a tutor. And the great thing about, we love Khan Academy. We know it does a great job. So why not use it for with the AI? So it can be a study buddy, which I personally think the quickest change that's going to happen is, opposed to making a million review sheets or a million review games, that AI is going to help students study. And any student that is middle school to high school that is not using AI to help it study is probably going to be, it's going to be a difference in their grade that is very evident. I kind of think about it. I'm old. So I went to college back when my first semester, I didn't have a computer. You didn't have to have a computer to survive. And I can remember my grades not being as good as the girl next to me's grades who used, AI. I mean, she used Word, which told her all her spelling errors. And I lost points for spelling errors or grammar errors. And I can remember thinking, that's like, just because you have access to technology, you got a better grade than I did. I kind of think that that's going to be one of the things that is kind of a big divide for some of our students, because you can use this as your own personal tutor. So Conmigo is definitely worth looking at. But my new favorite, let's see, I want to make sure I'm there. Oh, okay. There's so many. I've got them all pulled up so that I wouldn't mess up, but I'm not going to get to that one yet. I'm going to do this one. This is an AI Tutor Pro. So this one simply will tutor you over anything. So I put in US history, responses in English, but look at all those response languages. And I can do this at the elementary level, the high school level. And I'm just going to say elementary level start. Look at my little tutor on US history. Welcome to the Tutor Pro Assistant. I'm here to help you learn what was the main reason the Pilgrims came to America in 1620. Let's see. I'm going to put in the wrong answer. Food. See what it says. That's not correct. Think about the Pilgrims. What were they looking for in terms of freedoms and belief? Look at the natural prompting it's doing. So now this in. That's correct. The Pilgrims came. Here's the next question. What was the name of the ship that the Pilgrims sailed on America? I don't know. Let's see what it says when I say I don't know. I'm here to help. The ship that the Pilgrims sailed onto America was called the Mayflower. What was the first permanent English settlement in America? So it is prompting based on just a specific topic. That easy, but I can have it use my content as well. I could upload information and have it create information, or I can put in my lecture notes as well. So this is an AI Tutor Pro that will allow us to do cool things. This is a magic to do. This is called Goblin Tools. It will create, it'll break things into smaller pieces for you. So it helps you like break tasks down. Let's see. This one, I want to, I just have to show you this one because I'm afraid I don't want to mess up. So this one is called Notebook LM. It is a Google product. And it's probably my new favorite. It will take any piece of learning, and it does a lot with it, which I have not explored everything it does. It takes anything and does stuff with it. So when I say I'm going to make a new notebook, I can upload either from the Google Drive, Google Docs, or Slides. I can use a website. So think about history.com, a website over planets, a website over cell division, maybe a YouTube video that is educational, or I can simply copy and paste text. So you put your source in. And once you put your source in, then what happens is it does this overview. And this audio overview is the thing I want you to notice. You can create an audio overview, and the audio overview uses real language, not robot, like you see on those videos, those YouTube videos where it sounds like a robot. It creates more like a podcast conversation based on the information. So I'm going to show you one I set up because it takes a little while for it to generate. It's not fast. But this is one I used in my district. They have a handbook, a student handbook. So think of your syllabus. Think of information from your classroom. But I uploaded the student handbook, which is got a lot of information in it. See it? And then I simply said, create an audio overview of this. So it's 41 minutes long. I've got it done in English. I did not do the interactive mode, but I'm just going to simply play it so you can get a taste of the audio version of Notebook LM.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you. Today, we're diving into a document that touches pretty much every student and parent: the school handbook.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Think of this deep dive as your essential shortcut, really, to understanding the rules, the responsibilities, and the resources that shape your educational journey at school.
What's truly fascinating about this specific one, the MPS Student Handbook, is how it really acts as the central blueprint for daily school life.
Okay.
I mean, it lays out everything from what's expected academically all the way to critical safety protocols.
Okay.
So our mission today is to distill the absolutely essential information from this handbook, focusing specifically on what you, whether you're a student walking those hallways or a parent supporting your child, absolutely need to know to, well, thrive.
That's the goal. Whether you're a seasoned school parent or maybe a student just wondering about the ins and outs of campus life, this deep dive is designed to give you those aha moments, about everything from how attendance impacts your grades to what you can and can't do in the media center.
Exactly.
So let's unpack this handbook and truly make sense of it together, I would say.
This helps the school track and document attendance properly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What are the actual consequences of truancy, meaning those unexcused absences? And maybe even more importantly for students, how does this affect their ability to make up missed work?
Right. Truancy is essentially absence without permission from either the parents or the school.
What do you think? Are you blown away?
That's really cool. Wow.
I mean, so in this podcasting, generation, and where I can see parents never looking at a student handbook, but maybe playing one of these podcasts while they're in the car, right? And it wasn't like the robot type thing that was super dry. But if I wanted to go further, I could make a briefing document, as you can see. I could do an FAQ over the handbook, which I think would be really nice. But I could even create a study guide. Now, I just used this one thing because I wanted to see what it would do. But where else do you see this being useful in your role? Any ideas?
I feel like I would need to play around with it a little bit. I'm not sure, all the things that it could do. I don't know. It's like you don't think of it until you either see examples or, yeah, I'm
Right.
not sure. I think I'd have to play around with it.
So I use this just for a simple handbook. I mean, it will create a study guide, but a lot of places will do the study guide. The reason I wanted to point out Notebook LM is because it does create this podcast verbal audio that's quite natural. So I could use this with a textbook, with an article. So you have kids reading an article, but what a great scaffold to have a podcast of the same article. It could be a YouTube video that really 35 minutes long that we don't have time to listen and create a short podcast overview of it with Notebook LM for my students to listen to in class. Maybe I have them watch the video at home and then we come back and do this as the highlight overview. This could be over your syllabus. It could be a short podcast that's over the syllabus in your classroom. Could students use this to create from their notes or from content a podcast to listen to think, to learn in a different format or way? So those are just a handful of ideas. I think this is kind of crazy how real it sounds and how interesting it is to listen to. I also have administrators and teachers who get big chunks of information that people want them to you should know this, like the handbook, for instance. How many teachers have actually read the handbook from start to finish? Or there's a teacher guidebook, and it'll create a overview podcast. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it is a great place to start. So this is free, by the way. This is part of Google. And I hope it stays around because I'm always scared when Google creates something that they'll make it disappear.
Do
But
they
right
allow
now,
you to edit the podcast at all? Is there like a text that you kind of edited or no?
great question. Let's look. So now, again, when I created this one, I did tell it what my goal was. But let's see, audio overview. I know I can do interactive mode. I don't know that I can. Well, let's see if I go over here. No. Change the playback speed, download, interactive mode. Let's see what interactive mode does for me.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge for you. Today, we're diving into a document. Oh, our listeners got something to share. Let's hear it.
Oh, so I can ask questions about this.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, so I can ask questions about this podcast. I think it's kind of stuck.
Yes, absolutely. We love it when our listeners chime in. This isn't just us talking at you.
Please jump in with any questions, comments, or even your own experiences. That's what makes us interactive.
Your questions help us make sure we're covering what you want to know. It also helps us clarify things.
And if we don't have the answer right away, we can certainly look into it.
So thank you for asking. We're here to make this deep dive as helpful as possible for you.
What's fascinating here is that the very document we're about to explore, the MPS Student Handbook, actually outlines how you, as a parent or student, can ask questions and engage with the school system itself.
That's a great point.
So do you see how they played off of our question to go into a different area? Like, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So, and now I am looking a little bit closer. And if you look down at the bottom of I can start typing, what are the key policies and procedures governing, like, so I can make edits. So that is the studio, but I can say, I want you to focus.
So it looks like you can't edit the specific text itself, but you can kind of redirect where they're going with it.
Right.
Okay.
That's what it looks like to me. So see, like, I can see this used in so many ways, but I can also see for my high school students that this be a tool to help them study, a tool to help them get something different from it, but also we could use this to create things for the classroom, right? Understanding. So this is one of my favorites. It's like the big hurrah that I wanted to make sure that I shared with you today. And I promised you time to play. So I want to show you one more big tool, my two favorites I saved till last. So you listen to the end, and it's Notebook LM, but the other one is called Brisk. And Brisk is this little guy right here. I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to get him to a white area so you can see him. There he is. He is a Chrome extension, and I'm hoping it'll work with the share screen. I'm a little worried. Let's see. Oh, I've got it over here. So right here, this is Brisk. Brisk, oh no. I'm going to refresh and hope it's showing. I don't know if it's something to do with the shared screen and the Chrome extension.
Is it BRISK?
BRISK.
Okay.
And I'm on the educator free plan. Of course, there are more we can do, but I can use this with Google Docs. I can use this with a YouTube video. I can use this with a website. I can use this with a PDF. It doesn't matter. It will use it on everything. And some of their stuff is locked for the pay per play people, and some is free. So as you can see, there's nothing in this, but if this was an essay, it would inspect the writing and give feedback. If this was a PowerPoint, it could give feedback. If this was an article, it could change the reading level in a boost. It can create student activities. Now they've just changed it where Brisk will only allow you to do 3 student activities at a time. I hope I'm saying that right. 3 student activities at a time, but they're kind of amazing. But let's just start from a blank page and say create. Look at the things I can create. An exemplar, a lesson plan, a decodable test, a math spiral review, a podcast, guided notes. Now see these ones with the little house on them? Those are pay extra, a sub plan. Let's hit sub plans in English. I can use standard or turbo, which we didn't pay for turbo. And I want to use standards for California. And let's do high school algebra. And I want to close out of that. Oh, I must have hit something that cost me money. So let's go create subplans, 4th grade, 50 minutes. Over the story, tale of the 4th grade, nothing. I think that's what it's called. And we're going to brisk it. Let's just see what it does. Again, this is in Google Documents, so I can change anything I want. What do you think?
This is cool.
This is really awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely try this.
Yeah, and I can say make this shorter, more details, less details. I can also go over, let's hopefully this will work now. So let's see. And I can go to a YouTube video, which this is the secret language of trees. I think and here's my little brisket. And I don't know what's red, so it must be struggling a little bit. Oh, maybe because I have this other one open. So let me close out of this and come back over here. The beauty, oh, it doesn't like this video because it has no transcript. So it can't use a YouTube that doesn't have a transcript. So let me just search for something else. So division, see if I can find one. Possibly has it.
Dave's field communications are all over the place. Connect Team's team management app puts it all in one place.
And we're going to hit brisket. Oh, this one doesn't either. But I can, if they have transcripts, it can create a lot of different things, from a quiz and my grade level, multiple choice, short answer, long answer, 10 questions or more, to and it will create what I need it to. Now, this one did not have a transcript, so I do not know what it's going to actually give me. Oh, look, it did it without a transcript. There's my DOK questions for this video from DOK 1 to 4 with key vocabulary. Kind of amazing. Kind of amazing. So it can do this with, and the thing I love is it dumps it into Google Docs. The one last thing I want you to see is this student activity thing. So creating, it does a lot. Give feedback, it does a lot. Inspect writing. But student activity, this one just is crazy. I can use it as a writing coach. I can use it to hook students, so grab students' attention with a lesson. It can do a character chat. So imagine going to a story and then it creates a character chat where they get to ask the character questions. It can build a strong argument from a video, from a piece of text. It can use inquiry-based concepts and hypotheses. It can use real-world math. These are all things it does to engage the students. And again, you can only use the boost activity 3 different things at a time, but once you end them, it's fine. They also have a pulse check or an exit ticket that can go with any website, any document, any Google Doc, any presentation, any YouTube video, a writing coach that helps them. All of these things are built in with Brisk. It's free unless you want the extra stuff, which is the extra supercharged AI and getting to some of those content standards that you can actually type in yourself.
Do you know how much the paid version is?
I do not, because I stopped looking because they change the prices and then I'm wrong. So
Oh, okay.
I used to put them on slides and then I'd have to go change the slides and all
Oh,
that.
sure.
So I have learned my lesson after years of doing this, that I just simply say, go check it out if you want the premium. But I say first play with the free one and then go from there. I was trying to make sure. Oh, Perplexity. Paul mentioned it. I think you guys might have pulled it up. So I just want to look and see. There's my Perplexity. But the cool thing about Perplexity is it also has teacher tools. These are teacher tools that come with Perplexity, which are student evaluators, exam creators, resource customizer, magic marker, lesson lab. Like those are all things that are in the teacher area, which is a pilot program. But Perplexity is a very nice little clean AI version. And it kind of categorizes a lot of things that you do in finance, travel, shopping, and academics. Oh, I told you I'd give you time to play, but yet here I am still throwing things at you. Summarize.tech summarizes YouTube videos for you, but we've seen there are lots of other tools that do that as well. I am sure that if you've never touched AI, I've blown your mind today and stressed you out. But before I leave you, I want to remind you, a lot of high school teachers, middle school teachers, we love the plagiarism checkers. I want to give you a warning right now that these are some of the plagiarism checkers, but they are not accurate. The AI accuracy of plagiarism checkers is not solid yet. And so I caution you, if you are looking at essays and running them through any of the plagiarism checkers for AI, before you fail a student, give them another option, because I'm not going to tell you that I would put my license on the line, whether these things are correct or not. I've got a few other tools that I'll send you off with, but I want to tell you thank you for your 3 full hours of all in participation. I know that it's hard to sit sometimes for 3 hours, but I hope that I created a little interactive and a lot of useful information that made it worth your 3 hours. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to ask me now, or go play and explore and ask me later by email. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.